Today we're going to cover screen printing, specifically how to make your screen, how to expose everything. So first thing you're going to need, a screen. I like 110 mesh, but you can pick whatever you like. You're going to need some photo emulsion. You can have it already made up if you want, but I'll show you how to make it. So you're going to need the sensitizer and the base emulsion. You're going to need a scoop coater. That's not entirely true. You could also use just a piece of mat board or something. The idea is you just need to make something kind of smooth, right? Then you're going to need a transparency. This is going to be used to expose the silkscreen to the light. And then, of course, that's the type I like to use. Alright, so to make your photo emulsion, it comes not mixed because you don't want it to be exposed to light very much. And this is the easiest way to ensure that it's going to be fresh and ready for you. So when you first open it up, you notice it's kind of a blue glorp sort of thing. If it doesn't look like a blue glorp, you probably got a different container, whatever. But you want that nice perfect blue glorp because you need to mix the sensitizer in it. That comes in a powder inside of this bottle. Put a little bit of water in it, and then you got to shake it up. Make sure you seal it nice and tight. I have sprayed this all over my face before, and it is not only embarrassing but wasteful. So once you got it all shaken up, pour it up in that nice blue gloop, and then walk off camera again. Come back with a stick. I just use the back of a paintbrush because what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to stir it up nice. Because you want to get rid of that beautiful, gorgeous blue and turn it into a disgusting brownish green. Once you get that disgusting brownish green, then you know it's good to go. Here's a little sample. Yeah, that's the stuff right there. That's what you want. Nice glorp. Continue mixing to make sure you get all the edges on the inside. I don't recommend shaking it up. Creates a lot of bubbles. Not a big bubble boy. So go ahead and take all that off. Make sure to spill a bunch onto your table. Now it comes from the actual scoop coating part. So you're going to pour enough in there that you'll be able to coat the whole thing, knowing that you can pour the rest away. I don't have an exact science to how much you should be using. Enough. Once you got to get your screen, you're going to be holding this at a 70-degree angle. I don't know, it kind of moves. So kind of lean it up against, and you're just going to be letting the glorp go right onto the screen. I recommend starting on the back first to make it nice and smooth. Here's another angle of how to do it. You just want one thin coat. And then once you're done with that one thin coat, you can turn it slightly so it's at an angle. And you can scoop the excess off. That's all I'm doing here. I'm scooping the excess off. We're not coating it with more or anything like that. Grab yourself some sticky tape, my best friend, and put it in the corners. And then go ahead and put it in the dark place so it can dry. Put it face down on the sticky tack area because we want those to dry face down. It'll make it better for silk screening later. If you have any leftover, as long as it hasn't been out for very long, it's fine. You can just scoop the rest into the container. But if it's been like 10 minutes, might as well just throw it away. Because the more it gets exposed to light, the worse it is. When it comes to silk screens itself, they don't need to be worried about too terribly much. Just stick them in a dark closet. Blah, 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 blah. So to make our image, go to Pixlr, our favorite thing in the world, and then go to the image I provided for you, the PNG. That's the exact size that you need to use. Art goes here. Go down and hit the plus sign and then get your image. Find your image. I prefer things that are stark black to white. But you can really choose anything and kind of figure it out. It will only work as black to white, though. So if you're trying to do something with a bunch of gradients to it, unless you convert those to dots using either the bitmap or halftones, it's not really going to work. All right, so put your image inside of the rectangle, and then that's it. You can deselect it. You can erase your background using the magic wand. It doesn't really matter. But that's it. That's just to make sure that you're the right size for whenever you're printing. I know this feels a bit like unnecessary, but trust me, whenever you print the wrong size thing, it's very embarrassing. So save it as a JPEG, name it something fun, and then when it comes up, go ahead and take it to the printer. There's nothing really special I need to tell you about how to print, because you're going to print it normally. With Silkscreen, you don't have to flip your image like normal printmaking processes. It's size to fit, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure if you're doing multiple screens, like colors and stuff later, that they are the same size. Maybe I should do a video on those. Alright, so what you're going to need to do is you grab your little transparency. I like using LaserJet printers because it's the one that came with my job. And then go ahead and feed it through. Slowly, transparency filter comes through. It's nice and beautiful. And then we're going to use that to expose our Silkscreen. But how does Silkscreen work, you say? Well, it's very simple. Let's pretend that this is a Silkscreen right here. And this is what I want to be burned out. This is what's on my, my transparency. The idea with Silkscreen is that the screen is going to be full of photo emulsion. The emulsion coats the entire screen. That's what's that green stuff. And then when it dries, you can wash it out. So the image will block out UV light. So whatever that black is, it'll block the UV light. And that's the core principle of photo emulsion. The UV light hardens the place that isn't blocked out, so that way you can't wash it out in the sink. Simple, right? You don't need to worry about it too much. So that way, whenever you're washing out, just your image will wash out, and it'll be nice and easy to be able to print. All right, grab your image, do the next day, so it should be dry at this point. Take those little sticky tacks off, they're pointless for you at this point. But make sure it's dry. If you do this while it's still wet, it won't work at all. So you're going to be letting at least a day dry, not even at least, a day dry. Simple. So go ahead and take your Silkscreen. You got to work pretty quickly here because now you have to work in the dark. Any amount of light's going to expose it. Tape your image down to your Silkscreen. Place it face down over the exposure unit. You can also use the sun for this, and it takes like a minute. Whatever. It's Indiana in the winter. We don't really have sun right now. Take the black sheet of paper, take a book. That'll just make sure it's nice and smooth on there. We're going to expose it for 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Make sure you do those at the same time. It doesn't have to be perfect at the same time, but once it is done exposing, you got to move pretty quickly here. Because again, any extra exposure to the light is bad. This whole thing works off of light. So the more light you have, the worse it is. Give yourself a little test, pull that off. You can see that your image is in a light green on the dark background. That light green is what the original color of your screen was. The dark green is what is exposed to the light. And then put it in the sink. Let it start soaking first. So I'm getting water all over it because I'm not too concerned about scraping it off necessarily yet. And the water is going to wash out all the areas that were blocked by the Silkscreen thing. What's that called? Transparency. Oh my gosh. And go ahead and just kind of keep wiping back and forth, and you'll feel the difference in it. You'll feel that kind of gloopy, goopy feel. It definitely feels completely different than what the dry, hardened screen feels like. And then do that until you can see through it. You can hold it up to the light, blow on it, give it a little kiss. I don't know why you would do that, but it's done. Look at it. Yay. Go ahead and dry the excess off because you're just going to let this dry now for a while because it's also going to get a secondary lighting. Join me for part 2, and we're going to start actually printing this thing.